last thoughts about all things real estate?
Well, I think I get asked this question every time people run into me and they ask me how the market is. And earlier in the show, I mentioned to you how the market's doing in Los Cabos. Throughout the Baja California Sur, though, I mentioned this, I think, in our last show, but it's worth mentioning again that we are in a market that is shifting. And although the number of units has gone down as a state by about 15%, we have seen statewide a 15% increase in our average sales price. So we're still selling the same amount of US dollars in real estate in the first quarter compared to 2022's first quarter, but the number of units is down.
Welcome to the Nick Fong Podcast. As the broker and owner of Ronival Real Estate, Nick has spent nearly 20 years in Baja California Sur. And in this podcast, he'll be talking everything Baja, from food and culture to real estate and property management. And now, here's your host, Nick Fong.
Welcome to Cabo Mil News Community Update in English with Korey Riggs and Claudia Velo, brought to you by Ronival Real Estate. You were listening to the April 2nd version. We're in the second quarter. Wow.
Officially
of 2023. Very scary. Claudia, how's it going? What's happening?
Going great. Time is going fast. That is what is happening.
Well, we have an awesome show today, and you can be listening to us on 96.3 FM Cabo Mil, or you can be watching us on Facebook Live if you want to see all the beautiful people that'll be on the show today. And we have a very beautiful person on the show today with a great smile. It is our sponsor, Nick Fong.
Yeah.
Ronival. Nick, welcome back.
Good day. How are you both?
Doing excellent.
Well.
Doing excellent.
Ready for the spring break crowd that's already here?
Aren't we on the tail end of that? Aren't we almost over with that?
I think so.
The fifth week is starting, and but now it's Semana Santa, so Holy Week and Easter, which a lot of people are coming this next week.
Time to get out of Cabo for the locals.
The locals get out. We got to make room for
a short vacation. Yes. Good advice.
Well, Nick, great to have you back. What's happening? We know you had a great event last night or on Friday night.
And yeah, no, the event was great. We launched our new project, Punta Mirante, located in El Tezal, the Cabo corridor. And I thought we can talk a little bit about that project since it just launched, and also talk about what's been happening in the first quarter in our real estate market in Baja California Sur.
Absolutely.
And also just specifically more in the corridor. And there's some interesting statistics that I think your listeners will greatly appreciate. So if you allow me, I can start that off.
You are allowed.
Awesome.
All right.
Consider yourself allowed.
So to give you guys some context, in the last rolling 12 months from today, going back 12 months, we, in our Baja California Sur MLS, have recorded 4,000 properties that have been sold. And that is both closed and put under contract. So that represents about $2.6 billion of real estate. Interestingly, since that's the whole state of Baja California Sur, Los Cabos represents 2,500 of those properties, or $1.8 billion. So it's 60 to 70% of our state real estate being sold is sold in Los Cabos. And it is startling, and that's why we see so many new construction projects. And specifically, I'd like to hone in on more the corridor. So the 20-mile stretch between Cabo San Lucas and San Jose del Cabo, it is some of the most beautiful beaches, ocean views, and it is really interesting because in our real estate market, it's divided by our highway. And we, in our real estate market, always ask, oh, is there a condo on the market or a condo project or a house on the market? Is it on the mountainside or on the ocean side? So when you hear that, we're talking about in relation to the highway. And so I'd like to just dive a little bit into the corridor and specifically on both sides of the highway. So once again, over 1,200 units sold in the last 12 months. And I didn't mention this. So just in the corridor, 1,270 properties were sold in the last 12 months. That's
just in the corridor. Wow.
Just in the corridor. That's over $1 billion of real estate just in the corridor. That's 40% of our market. So the other 20 to 30% of the Los Cabos market is in the cities themselves of San Jose del Cabo and Cabo San Lucas. Now, on the mountainside of the highway, for houses, right now we're running about at 5 months of inventory. And 40% of that inventory is pre-construction. And on the mountainside condos, we have about 6 months of inventory, but a startling 70% of that inventory is pre-construction.
Wow.
On the ocean side of our corridor, we have around 6 months of inventory for houses and 2 months of inventory of condos. So very few condos on the ocean side of our corridor. And only 20% of the offerings are pre-construction for both houses and condos on the ocean side. And this is not really a surprise to me because the first property to get developed is the ocean side. So that's where we see most of the land being developed first. And that's why only 20% of it's pre-construction. There's just no land to be developed, very little, right? And so, and condos are the property type that will be sold first and the most in demand. But we're seeing more condos being built with 70% of it being pre-construction on the mountainside. And that's why we have 1 month more of inventory currently on the market for condos compared to houses.
Can you explain to us, regular people, what does 6 months worth of inventory mean for you?
Okay, so what that means, Claudia, is we take all the properties that went under contract or closed in a certain time period. And what I did was the last 12 months. And let's say there were 100 properties that sold in 12 months. And there are only 50 properties being offered right now.
Okay.
So it's a simple math equation. 50 properties that are currently on the market divided by 100 that have sold in the last 12 months tells me that there's 6 months of inventory. Right.
Wow. And most of that, as you mentioned, on the highway side, which is the mountainside, is under construction. It's 70%. That's what you said. Wow.
Yeah. When we're talking about condos, it's 70% and houses are 40%. And I also ran a statistic for the first quarter 2023 as it compares to 2022, just in the corridor. And on the ocean side, we had a 24% decrease, in the number of units that went under contract. So there has been less units going under contract, and 130 million in 2022 to 122 million in 2023. Now that's oceanside properties, houses and condos. Wow. But there was a 22% appreciation that has happened in the same first quarter compared to 2022. So prices have gone up remarkably on the ocean side by over 20%, but there has been an over 20% drop in the number of units sold in first quarter.
And Nick, how about prices? What are prices looking like? Are they?
Well, if you want to look on the ocean side, house or condo, the average is just under $3 million, 2.7.
Wow.
And last year it was 2.2 million. And so that's why a lot of people are looking on the mountainside. On the mountainside, the first quarter, we had 258 units go under contract last year, first quarter. And this first quarter of 2023, we had 183. So it was almost a 30% drop in the number of units and a 24% drop in the sales volume, 154 million down to 117. But the average price of houses and condos on the mountainside went up from just under 600 to the mid 600s this year. So it was about a 7% increase appreciation on the mountainside.
And Nick, are you finding that most people are buying for them, or are they still looking at it as a investment to rent as a vacation home for short stays, midterm stays?
We are finding both. We are finding in the last 2-3 years, more people were looking just from an investment standpoint, and less now from an investment standpoint because of the uncertainty in the economy and the changes with interest rates, inflation, banks being, collapsing. And so people are always going to need, no matter what the economy is, to have housing. So the people that are buying are the people that need permanent residence, that are relocating to the area, or are renters and want to be homeowners now. And there's still people looking for property from an investment standpoint. In the last few years, people have been hot on the Airbnbs and the Verbos, and those are still very attractive, and people are still yielding good returns. The returns have decreased over the last couple of years. It's more supply in the vacation rental market has come, and competition is driving the average daily rates down, occupancy down. And what we like to advise our clients, if you're looking at from strictly a cash flow perspective, you're not going to get the same returns you have been in the last couple of years. But what you are able to get, if you get the right property, the right community, and you're buying in one of those 70% pre-construction projects, you can realize anywhere from 20 and upwards of 50% appreciation in 1 to 2 years, even in this market.
Hey, thanks for being a part of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. And if you're watching this on our social channels, please like and share. And if you want to be featured, or you want me to talk on a certain topic, food, activities, culture, real estate in the Baja, drop a comment.
That's great. I mean, that's a great return.
And so those are the things you want to be looking out for in today's market. If you're a buyer, is have realistic expectations that the vacation rental returns are going to be diminished. I would say 20 to 30% from the past couple of years. But if you look at the long-term rental market, if you're looking to buy something from a long-term rental perspective, like you're not going to live in it, I'm going to put a 1-year lease in the property, there's a extreme shortage of that kind of property. And I think if you can buy a $300,000 to $500,000 house and rent it for $3,000 to $4,000 a month, that's where there's some great returns for real estate investors in this market.
And as you were mentioning, the mountain side of the corridor is really an active area, and closer to San Lucas, the area that we call El Tezal is becoming like the hotspot of real estate right now. And tell us a little bit about that new development that you just launched.
Yeah, Claudia, you're absolutely right. When we talk about the mountainside of the corridor, El Tezal, the area of El Tezal, closer to downtown Cabo San Lucas, but still in the corridor, it is the most heavily developed area. And one of the new projects we just launched this week is Punta Mirante. It's a gated community of 60 single-family homes that we just released with 3 different floor plans. The community itself is offering a clubhouse, 2 swimming pools, a fitness area, outdoor playground for children, super wide streets. So a lot of our gated communities in El Tezal have very narrow streets. So if any visitors are parking in the street, we're having to navigate drive-through traffic. And these are very privileged. So there's a main boulevard with an actual median in the middle.
Wow.
And it is a really, the houses themselves are Interior, anywhere from low 2000s to upper 2000 square feet. And then with the covered and uncovered terrace, rooftop terraces, we're 3,500 to 4,000 square feet total living space.
Wow.
And
Nice.
those houses start under $500,000, fully finished and equipped.
Wow. Where is Mirante?
Yeah.
I gotta go check it out.
That's
Where
so
do I
good.
need to go?
Do I need to? Did I make the mistake by missing the launch? Did you sell them all?
It's located in between Ventanas Phase 1 and Phase 3. It is where Costco, if you draw a straight line behind Costco, about 1 mile, that's where Punta Mirante is. It has great ocean views, and it is at a price point where when you look at neighboring communities like Ventanas Phase 3 or Phase 1, similar style homes, but actually smaller in Ventanas, we're selling those for like $700,000-800,000.
Jeez.
And so there's an opportunity where you could buy a pre-construction home between $480,000 and $600,000 and realize that appreciation in 1 to 2 years, well, immediately of $100,000 to $200,000 US. And then by the time it's delivered, probably another 5% on top of that.
Wow.
Go check out Mirante.
I should have never.
I go.
I should have never sold my home in Ventanas in 2014. When everyone told me I was asking too much then, and now it's like half the price of what
you would
I was
be
at.
surprised. I know roughly I know what you sold it for. It is 50% more now.
I know.
Don't tell him that.
I know. Believe me, I know.
But what was interesting at the event that we had this week at Punta Mirante, we had great clients, Mike and Kathy, who we sold a house to actually in Phase 1 Ventanas just a year ago. And they're a great couple that retired from Texas. And they've been living in their 1,600 square foot home, but they downsized from 3,000 to 1,600, like almost half the size, right? And over the months running into them, they say, boy, it's been tough, like really adjusting to such a smaller place. And they came to our event and they walked through the unit, and the husband, Mike, is so funny. He said, Nick, I hate you. Because they're actually going to buy. They're actually going to buy a unit there because they were impressed by the high ceilings, the space, and the ability also to customize some things that they noticed that they'd like to change. And this developer is a seasoned 10-year developer from Los Mochis, and he has delivered over 1,700 units in his career. And this being his first project, he really wants to make this project special and really be the kickoff to his developing career here in Los Cabos.
Wow.
I'm sold. Let's set up an appointment.
Love to bring you guys out.
Well, I have to tell you, I was coming back from Arizona last week, Nick, and I was waiting on my luggage, and there you are with Rocio. It's like you guys are like the biggest stars in the luggage area. Wait, you're everywhere. I mean, I can't get away from you. I'm in Las Barriles, and there you are. I'm on a road in Cerritos, and there's Ronival's maintaining this road, and then I'm just trying to get my luggage, and you're looking right at me.
At our event this week, it was funny because some other folks were mentioning the same thing, and I said, from a marketing advertising perspective, we want to be Baja's Rome. And I said, what is the phrase? All roads lead to Rome. We want all roads to lead to Ronival.
Wow. Well, we're happy you're on Cabo Mil News Community Update in English, because this is probably where you get the most exposure. I'm sure this is it's huge.
Well, it's the only, English speaking spot, right? And you guys are championing the program, and your listeners, your viewers on Facebook. I know you guys have a great following, and people really respect both of you.
Well, thank you for those nice words. Go ahead, Claudia. I see you're about
to just thank you. And I want to go check out Mirante. It looks like a great. I mean, just because the real estate market, yes, as you mentioned, there aren't a lot of lots left for big developments and developments that are well thought out. And everything that you said about Mirante was like, oh wow. So I do want to go check it out. It sounds really good.
I welcome. There's a sales agent there every day. There's a sales trailer. Our model unit will be open in May, and we're really excited about that. So you can actually see a finished unit, but you can walk through the model right now. The construction of the structure is already completed, and they're working on the finishes.
Excellent. Well, we got a couple minutes left, Nick. Any last thoughts about all things real estate?
Well, I think I get asked this question every time people run into me and they ask me how the market is. And earlier in the show, I mentioned to you how the market's doing in Los Cabos. Throughout the Baja California Sur, though, I mentioned this, I think, in our last show, but it's worth mentioning again that we are in a market that is shifting. And although the number of units has gone down as a state by about 15%, we have seen statewide a 15% increase in our average sales price. So we're still selling the same amount of US dollars in real estate in the first quarter compared to 2022's first quarter, but the number of units is down. And so if you're a buyer, that's something really important to internalize, because you are going to be paying more than you would have a year ago. And there are less units for sale and less units are being sold. But my prediction in a year from now, when we're talking about first quarter 2024, we're probably going to see a 10 to 15% appreciation again compared to 2023, same first quarter.
Well, it all sounds good, Nick, and thank you so much for being back on the show and all the great information for everybody out there. We are looking forward to having you back in about a month, and we'll look forward to having you back on the show. Thank you, and go do a cold. We didn't even talk about cold plunges today. We usually talk about our cold plunge. How are you doing on yours? You've been going
Going well. I didn't do it this morning, but I'll do it later today. So still 5 or 6 days a week.
Wow. So good. And so healthy. Well, thanks, Nick. We'll look forward to having you next time on the show. Everybody stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate, and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.